Hello everybody, welcome back to the P34J channel, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I judge games and my perspective on things. I might not have the most traditional perspective when it comes to judging and reviewing video games. The reason why I started reviewing video games, it's the most direct way I feel to show not just my love for video games in general, but to analyze exactly what I like or dislike about a game. And I like sharing those opinions with other people, putting it out there in the public, whether it be a hot take or obvious, but either way, I'm doing it from experience. Everybody's got their own opinions and whatnot about what a good video game is. You may disagree with me, you may agree with me on some points. On those points, go ahead and comment. Let me know exactly what your thoughts are on what I'm saying here. I definitely love to communicate and hear different perspectives. As a matter of fact, I encourage it because maybe I can learn something from you all in the comment section, or maybe you can learn something from me in the video. That's hopefully, I would hope that. But in order to start this video and describe exactly what I think about games, or how I think about games and my mindset going in, I gotta give you a little bit on my background, like my gaming history, which isn't gonna be hard at all because it isn't really that deep. Start back from when I was a kid. I've been playing video games all my life. I was there back in the N64 days, the PS1. I was born in 1998, so I do have some faint memories of me playing the 5th generation of consoles, like Dreamcast, games like Ready to Rumble, Spider-Man on PS1. It was a Simpsons wrestling game. Okay, yeah, you already know wrestling is going to become a big deal in this because I'm already about to name 2 more. SmackDown 2, Know Your Role. And then obviously later on in life I was still playing N64 games like I forgot what boxing game that was on N64 I was playing. The first Super Smash Bros, GoldenEye. I don't know if GoldenEye had a story or anything like that. I just played a couple multiplayer games. I'm pretty sure I played a little bit of Mario 64. Conker's Bad Fur Day, played that. I was actually fortunate to be surrounded by SNESes, so I played the Super Nintendo. So I played games like the legendary Super Mario World, Miss Pac-Man. I'm just naming stuff, I guess I'm going too much down a rabbit hole, but yeah, that's a bit of my history when I was a kid, like when I was younger. Obviously as I grew older, the 6th generation of consoles came out. I was playing GameCube, PS2, so I remember games like X-Men Legends, Pac-Man World 2, X-Men Legends 2, of course. On the subject of Pac-Man World 2, I just put out a video about the first game, the remaster of the first game, Pac-Man World Repack. Go check it out. Dragon Ball Z Budokai, and a whole host of WWE games. I can go down the list. WWE Raw 2, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown vs. Raw series, and then even on GameCube, WrestleMania 18, WrestleMania 19, and the underrated Day of Reckoning and Day of Reckoning 2. Oh yeah, I did grind the shit out of SpongeBob SquarePants Lights Camera Pants. Might be a little bit ashamed to admit that, but yeah. What I noticed over the years is that I did miss out on a lot of gaming franchises growing up. I've never played Gears of War. I've never played Uncharted. I barely played Call of Duty. I only just now started playing BioShock like a week or 2 ago. Only Metal Gear I've ever played is 5, and like a very minimal amount. Never really played Borderlands growing up. I beat Borderlands 3. There's a lot of other franchises, big franchises and big games that I missed out on growing up. I wasn't always the richest person, so but I was fortunate enough to be able to play what I played. I actually was able to participate in every generation of video gaming, whether I own a console. Well, actually, I was able to own a console at one point in every generation I've been in since I was alive. The other reason as to why I wasn't able to get as many gaming experiences as I'd have liked is because with my personality, when I like something, I just kind of like keep doing it over and over again. I can do it for years, but it kind of like sidetracks me from other things that I can enjoy in said art form, and I kind of have a hard time diversifying my cataloging anything, TV shows, music, movies, games, etc. On the subject of games, what happened to me is that I got stuck in an infinite, never-ending loop of a trifecta of franchises, and those were wrestling, specifically WWE, Dragon Ball, and Halo. Those three are where the majority of my gaming experience went over the last 2 decades. And then once I got into my adulthood, once I started playing the game in 2019, the next game that I put into that loop was Brawlhalla, and I was playing that every night. Nothing else, basically. I'm glad I was able to stick some games in there like Borderlands 3 and Doom 2016, but also the first Dark Souls, but wasn't really able to keep going with that. Well, I was able to, I just didn't want to. I was stuck on trying to be the best at Brawlhalla, and I never became as good as I wanted to become. I became pretty good, but like, you know, with that like small amount of experience, what was presented to me was a unique perspective and opportunity to expand my catalog on games and to explore the art form that I've enjoyed my entire life. Because don't get me wrong, even though I've played basically the same games my entire life, and I don't have the biggest catalog, I still love video gaming. And now's the time to show that to the biggest extent that I've ever been able to. And that's the big mission for my channel, is to expand my catalog and give my take on the games that I enjoy or the games that I don't enjoy, and to have a great time doing it, and to share that great time with you all. Like, okay, now don't get me wrong, I eventually do want to make money off of this. Who doesn't want to make money off of YouTube? Who doesn't want to make money off of doing what they love to do? I'm just trying to explore the art form to the best of my ability, and I have a lot of games now. I have a huge catalog. I don't have the interesting thing is that I don't have the experience or background of a lot of games and their histories, so I get to experience a lot of things for the first time, and I get to give the perspective of someone who has experienced these things in a recorded place in history for the first time. And I think that will add a lot to my channel. Like, for example, I don't know how BioShock ends. I don't even know how it goes. I don't know anything about BioShock except the Big Daddy, and that was only because I played PlayStation All-Stars. But I've never played Uncharted. I've never played Tomb Raider. I rarely played Resident Evil. Never played God of War. One thing that caused a bit of trepidation for me doing reviews was my lack of experience, and I thought that maybe I wasn't qualified enough to maybe talk about games in detail. But once I just started doing it, it just got kind of addicting, in a good way. Once I started going, and I never stopped. Now I know I don't have to be like the goal of a reviewing a game is out of passion and out of just giving your perspective on things. I don't have to be like a super guru expert or pro player in every game to try to review a game. Of course, reviews are subjective, but to try to review a game as objectively as possible. And I know that I have a good enough perspective and taste in games to do that. Like, if I didn't have good taste in games, I'd have went and said Elden Ring was garbage, trash, just because I was getting my ass beat. But we all know, the world knows, and I'm like 70, 80 hours in, the world knows how great Elden Ring is. Like, I wouldn't be like 80 hours in if it wasn't that good. Although, actually, maybe that isn't true now because I'm a reviewer, but like, I'm having a blast with Elden Ring. Get my ass beat and kill over and over again. Oh my god. But then another thing that influenced me to actually just get the ball rolling and do something bigger with what I love to do in my life was watching other content creators over the years. And it started in 2015. That was when I really started watching gaming content creators. The first batch of people I started watching were guys like the Ackman, Rony Boney, Faven, Weapons Grade, and then it trickled into Hidden Xperia, Reykjavik. Then I started watching Angry Joe, Game Care Network, was GCN, Kid Atari, and then I started watching just a little bit of Chris Ray Gun. Like it started with the Halo community. It started strong with the Halo community. Fun fact: my first time through Halo 5 campaign, I actually enjoyed it a good amount. But it was only because I wasn't analyzing the story. That was another thing. Like over the years, I wasn't really analyzing campaign stories as well as I was capable of. Back then, I was more of a multiplayer guy per se. But as I was taking like more literature classes over the years, I started just analyze exactly what makes a good story. Also based off of life experiences, of course, you know. I mean, not every game is supposed to be realistic, but you know, some games and stories is just trash. Halo 5 is one of them, and that's still damn near a masterpiece compared to fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That, oh my god, that story was a fucking joke. Let me stop before I start going off on that shit again. I already made an hour-long review on it. Link to that in the description. I wasn't that good at reviewing stories back then, but like after watching other people do reviews and whatnot, and taking literature classes in college and my late high school years, story is a much more of an important aspect for me over the years. That's why I enjoy great stories like the Tribal Chief story in WWE, Roman Reigns' 4-year reign as the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, and Cody Rhodes finishing that story. As time went on, I was trying to like soft launch my YouTube career back in like late 2019, early 2020. I was starting to figure out about smaller content creators, specifically in the Halo community, like Kevin Kulex, Wise Fish Gaming, who is absolutely popping off right now. Shout out. And the Outbreak himself, R-Ash. Shout out, man. And then congratulations on the gear stuff. You love to see these two small content creators in Wise Fish Gaming and R-Ash grow so much from what they were back in 2020 when I started watching them. I put out plenty of like videos, whether it be like just straight gameplay videos, like, or forward showcases of my terrible maps. But I consider the official, I guess my first official video on this channel to be the earliest one that's public, and that is the analysis of George's death. Man, I wish I kept going with YouTube videos after that, because that one felt so good to make. I actually felt like I achieved something great. I worked hard on it, I edited it and whatnot. Like, you know, I didn't have the best sound quality. I still don't have the best sound quality. You know, that comes with time. We get it out the mud over here on the P34J channel. It just felt great to make. The only reason why I didn't keep going is because I didn't want to become a lore guy. Like, that's not what I was passionate about with games. I just didn't really know what to do or what to talk about when it comes to games. I'm not really a lore guy like Hidden Xperia or Wise Fish Gaming. But once I actually got the ball rolling 2 years later, and you know, made a new logo for myself, and made what I still consider to be the greatest video on this channel, even though it didn't get as much buzz as I wanted it to, but it still got a decent amount of buzz for somebody that just put out the first video, you know, or the second video technically, but the first video of my more consistent YouTube career. That video being unfreaking believable. Medals in Halo. I'm so proud of that, because nobody was ever gonna make a video about medals in Halo. I didn't see why at the time. I guess I see why now a little bit. I mean, but medals have always been, like I said in that video, they've always played a pivotal role in my enjoyment of Halo. Even though I am disappointed that it didn't get as big as I wanted it to get, you know, maybe someday it will. I'll always be proud of that video and the work that I put in. And over the years, it snowballed into a bunch of stuff. I haven't really done a broad gamer subject yet, but like, I mean, I guess the future of platform fighters kind of counts, but I really focus in on Multiversus and Brawlhalla. And there are a bunch of other platform fighters out there that I haven't experienced, but you know, I really felt like those two were going to be the biggest ones. Maybe they still will. You know, Multiversus is coming back this year. It died horribly, but it's coming back. I finally got to doing my first ever video game review, which is for Apex Legends. And this is where I really found out that this is what I enjoy doing on YouTube, because I was able to get into almost every nook and cranny as to what I enjoy, and the very few things that I didn't enjoy about Apex Legends, which had to do with monetization mostly, and some glitches. But the gameplay was just so nuanced that it was making me think in the back of my head in a great way as I was playing it the whole time. And then I get to play it, and then I get to review it, and it was just a great experience. I got to do a deep dive on a game that I loved, and that's where I got the ball rolling. Yeah, I was very long-winded and all that. As you can see, I am a rambler. Now that I've given you all my gaming background, it's now time to discuss how I get into judging video games and my process, so to speak. What in games do I like? Again, everybody's got a bunch of different opinions, but my experiences have led me to enjoying certain things and finding priority in certain aspects of games. And for me, the most important aspect in gaming, it should be obvious. It's in the name. Gameplay. Now that's obviously like a broad subject. On a basic level, is the game fun to play? That is obviously the most important priority for me. If it's not fun to play, then why am I playing it? Now, what do I look for in gameplay? I'll get more into genres later, but like in terms of a general guideline for games, are the mechanics smooth, interesting, and fun? And I'm going to be using a couple examples here, like especially Apex Legends, because I love that game. I don't like the changes they made to it in this season, but I do love Apex Legends, you know? And it ticks all three of those boxes. Like, the shooting feels smooth. And I can say the same thing for Halo Infinite, even though it's controversial. The shooting and movement feels smooth. The mechanics are interesting, like a game like Halo Infinite. You got curb sliding, and you got repulsor, grapple shot, you know, vehicles. And Halo in general has always been interesting like that, you know. And with Apex, you know, you got the character abilities and learning how to use them in the different roles that they play. The looting system, deciding what guns work for you, using each gun in its correct situation. It's like hella things you got to think about. And then Doom Eternal with like having to use a specific gun to kill almost every enemy. And that actually leads to my next subject, which is complexity and skill gap. I prefer games that are like less simple, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I want to say Call of Duty in general, but I haven't really experienced that much COD in my life. So I'll just stick to saying Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. There's not really a lot of complexity in a game like that. That's just tailored towards my specific taste. You know, I'm not saying it's ass because of that, but what I prefer is a game where you have to like think about everything that you do, but it's still like adrenaline pumping and fun. Like, I know I mentioned Apex Legends like 3 times, but like, that's my golden example right there. That's why I also want to get into fighting games like Mortal Kombat. And again, Doom Eternal, that's why I believe Doom Eternal's gameplay is just masterful. The Soul series, you know, you can master the animations of each enemy and become a beast, like, and then get your reaction time up too as well. Like, become a guy like Let Me Solo or beat Millennia's ass as a god in the game and show her what it's really like, you know. But yeah, complexity and skill gap. I want to feel like I'm actually working towards something, not just in terms of like cosmetics, like progression items and stuff like that. That's lower on the totem pole than the actual gameplay. Like I love the feeling of just shitting on somebody and going through the work needed to do it. That's why I love my clips in Brawlhalla. Like, you know, like that's why I love Brawlhalla in general. Like, you can put people in some of the most devastating combos using weapons and throwing weapons and whatnot. Like, I'm not even nowhere near as good as I wanted to be in that game, and I already got Diamond twice. I want to work towards skill, getting better. I guess I got kind of a competitive nature, which is why I kind of favor first-person shooters and stuff like that in multiplayer games. I at least want to feel some sort of difficulty spike. Like, I just can't go through on easy mode because that's pointless. That's why it's gonna be hard for me to get into games like the Walking Dead series, the Telltale series. How are the mechanics intertwined with each other? Oh my god, do I gotta mention Apex Legends again, bro? Like, bro. And Doom Eternal? Oh, here's another game. Halo 3. Almost every mechanic that I've mentioned in those games, they intertwine with each other effectively to make a masterfully crafted experience. Like, for example, with Apex Legends, certain weapons mixed with certain legends. Like if you got a movement legend and you're running around with an R99 with at least a white mag this season, because a regular R9 with no mag in this season is complete garbage, and I'm salty about that. You're running around with that, like you can just be a spray god and mix the movement in with that, and it creates a compelling gameplay. Like it's not just fun to look at, but it's fun to play and it's fun to get good at. You know, and then you got the whole dynamic with spray guns and like the SMGs and ARs and shotguns in that game. Vantage is good with sniping and whatnot. That's her specialty. You got the way controller legends can control certain buildings, and that's gonna affect how a storm plays out, especially like in the end game. That can give you a whole advantage. This is like plenty of concepts that you have to keep in mind, and they all come together to create this like great. Like, I remember this time I was hanging behind we was in this last storm. We had two Gibraltar ults go off. Like I was one of them, and the other team had one. And it was pressure, a lifeline, put a care package right in front of us as a shield, and it was just one of the most heated moments. And then you got games like Halo 3, which is sandbox based. The physics in that game, it didn't have to have advanced mobility to actually it had to not have advanced mobility to play as good as it did, to play like a game of chess, to play like a thinking man's game. And then you do like unique things like traffic cone jumps, and then the equipment had unique interactions with each other. More specific subject than I have the time for in this video, but I'm gonna try to not keep going all day, but like you get the gist of what I mean. How the gameplay is tied to progression. Oh my god. Halo Infinite and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 are horrible examples. I didn't really talk about progression in Modern Warfare 3. I didn't even really take the time to understand it in full, but like I was seeing the daily challenges and whatnot, and it looked the same way as Halo Infinite. Force a player to do a specific activity, to do nothing but specific activities in games to unlock shit in a battle pass. To be honest, I don't even like battle passes that much. Like, I mean, the Warbond and Helldivers 2 is pretty good. Like the gameplay has to be engaging, and engaging in said gameplay has to be the optimal way to progress in the game. And I think Helldivers 2 does that pretty well. Like you have to go explore the map, trying not to die with rare samples. It's intense. It's an intense part of the gameplay loop, and you also get to unlock shit out of it. So that was handled well. Halo Reach, you know, you just straight up earn a bunch of credits out of playing the game and winning it and getting far in the firefight. That was a pretty good progression system. I mean, Apex Legends gameplay isn't really that well implemented into a progression system, you know. I mean, the challenges aren't like as absurd from what I've seen as a game like Halo Infinite, but like, you know, how do they stack up or compare or stand out to other games in the same genre or in general? A game like Doom Eternal stands out because it's probably the most thinking, the most intelligently designed first-person shooter, single player game that I've ever played, maybe of all time. I mean, maybe like you probably have to get an expert on that, someone with a bigger gaming catalog to decide that. But from my experience, Doom Eternal, it stands out, and it will stand the test of time. It's one of the best games I've ever played, and especially in its genre. Like, I already prefer Doom Eternal over Doom 2016, and I prefer Doom Eternal over Borderlands 3. Not only did it have complex progression, but it had like complex combat, and it didn't just feel like the combat was just complex just for the sake of being complex. It felt great. And you know, a game like Elden Ring, Souls games in general, they stand out not just because of their difficulty, but because of the loop of exploration and learning from enemies different animations, which are very dodgeable and balanced for the most part. I heard Dark Souls 2 was a broken piece of shit, but I haven't gotten to that yet. Games like Apex, Halo, and the Finals have always stood out because of their unique qualities. Obviously, I would prefer that a game doesn't have too many game-breaking bugs as far as gameplay and the user interface. Crashes and shit like that. I hate that. It gets on my nerves. It gets on any gamer's nerves. Organization. That's beginning to become more important to me as I see how bad certain games' user interfaces are. Apex Legends doesn't have that much good of a user interface, but it's serviceable enough, Halo Infinite, serviceable enough. Doom Eternal's user interface, fantastic. The only thing that's really that complex is the start menu. But the main menu, simple, straight to the point, fantastic. And you can literally change the background on shit, so it's like, oh my god. Another thing, Elden Ring's UI and Dark Souls UI, wonderful. It's really easy to find anything that you want to find. The only thing that pissed me off about Dark Souls 1's user interface is the fact that they don't have the name. When you first create your character, I was stuck in that character creation for like 15 minutes. They didn't label the name section. It was just blank. That still pisses me off to this day. Like, that was bullshit. And I wasn't the only one that fell for that. My big brother, shout out JB Spirit, he fell for that too. Bullshit. And then besides like glitches and stuff, like in terms of polish, how the gameplay feels, Oh, I forgot to mention lagginess. I don't like that stuff. Obviously, who likes that? Fuck desync from Halo Infinite. Ugh. How does the shooting feel? Does it feel smooth, or is the reticle moving like, I don't know, 5 or 10 units every input? Most modern games have great feeling shooting these days and controls, so I don't really have to worry about that. And then we move on to content. Quality and quantity are the two big things to analyze here. I favor quality over quantity, but if a game is good, obviously I'm going to want more of it and as much of it as possible. Now, what I mean by quality is, as far as progression, the items that you earn, how do they affect not just the gameplay, specifically for single player games on that, but how do they affect the overall feel of the game, and how do they affect the community and whatnot. A good example here is Recon from Halo 3, the Recon armor. Everybody went crazy for that bitch when it came out. Not me. I mean, I was young. I was really focused on gameplay, creating maps and whatnot. Everybody else in the community, the VidMaster challenges, that shit was insane. I wish I'd actually participated in that. But like, one piece of armor influenced people to go and do the craziest shit. Get 4 people in a ghost with legendary, and I think you could. Nobody was able to die in the last mission on Halo 3. That's fucking insane for one piece of armor. So back in the day, before they gave it out to everybody, back in the day, that if somebody had Recon armor, either they did something special to do it, or they were lucky enough to meet a community member at Bungie, and they gave the armor out. The quality of the content, like the plethora of items that you can find in a game like Elden Ring or Remnant 2. Are they entertaining to play with? How do they affect gameplay? Armor customization and the Halo games in general. Do I look like a badass Spartan? Does it fit within the universe? Does it look cool? How can I show it off? How much detail can I go into with these creations and stuff like that? The modes, how do they feel? Are they fun to play? And then we go into quantity. How many modes are there? How many maps are there? How long is the story mode, How much is there for the consumer to consume and for us to digest? And then we got progression, as I was talking about earlier. How well is it implemented, and how does it affect the rest of the game? And what kind of items do I get? Are they useful in gameplay? Do they look cool? Did I have to do something great to achieve said items? Like the badges in Apex Legends, or a farmer for Godrick's sword in Elden Ring. Even though I figured out it was ass, it was still fun just to farm, and it was crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy that Elden Ring made farming fun, and they did that by dangling the prospect of a progression item and getting my strength up in order for me to be able to hold said item. And then as far as games that allow you to create stuff, how deep is the creation? My best examples for that are Halo and the old WWE games. Like, I've never seen a better character creator than the old WWE games, like or hell, even the new ones. Like, you get to do everything, and they even had a feature. I don't know if they still have this feature where you can upload screenshots and put them into the game. I don't know if they still have that. Like, I'm a fan of like deep. Like I know over the later years, I haven't really been using a character creator to the best of my ability because I'm more focused on gameplay. But I do like to see those type of systems in a game. Now, obviously, I am a little bit biased when it comes to genre. You know, I do favor first-person shooters and fighters and any game that's got like violence in it. You know, I'm just more that type of guy. You know, I just want to beat somebody's ass or shoot somebody. I am willing and able to get into more games and and find more entertaining gameplay loops. Like, I am curious about it. I throw shots and shade at Death Stranding, but one day I'm going to play it and I want to experience it and explore to see if it's actually good for myself. It's such a divisive game. I feel like that's one of the ones that you have to play it in order to know it's trash or good. I ain't gotta play Ride to Hell Retribution, Gollum the day before, or even Modern Warfare 3 to know that it's trash, because I done already seen enough of that. It's better I don't waste my time with that shit. I mean, I am now because I'm reviewing games, but like, yeah. And like, what does a game do for its genre? I mentioned Doom Eternal. Like, it took first-person shooters to a whole nother level. I'm curious as to see how they can even top Doom Eternal, because that shit was crazy. And I'm curious as to how a game like Doom Eternal is gonna influence other first-person shooters in the future, because that game was fucking insane. Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3 all revolutionized the first-person shooter genre in some way on a large scale. FPS on console became big after Halo 1. Online gaming itself became big after Halo 2. Community features and the scale of games in general and the money that they make increased on a huge scale after Halo 3. And that wasn't even just for its genre. People are literally calling it a Souls series, like games to take influence from that game, a Souls-like games. It damn near created its own genre. It was a unique spin on like pseudo open world / full open world with Elden Ring, linear progression and action adventure. A game like the original Doom made first-person shooters popular in general. The Borderlands series and what it did for looting and shooting. Now, one of the things that are on the bottom of the totem pole, but like I still notice, and I can kind of look at analyzing like a much smaller scale is graphics. Graphics of a game can be shitty and it still plays well. But obviously, I'm gonna love good graphics in a game, as long as I don't see everything sticking through everything and phasing through shit, like, I'm good. But graphics are another aspect, a very small aspect of what I use to judge games. But if the graphics is ass or mid and the file size is big, and I'm gonna start asking questions. Monetization, bruh. It's simplest, bruh. Don't fucking milk us to death. And two, don't let monetization be so egregious that it fucks with the rest of the game, especially the gameplay, on some Battlefront 2 shit. Good God. Greedy ass companies. And maybe I'm just old school for hating on battle passes and especially loot boxes, bro. Loot boxes, that was bullshit. And they steal in sports games. Man, companies should just know how to not be a dick as far as monetization. I don't even really have to go too deep into that, but apparently I do, because games these days, it's starting to get a little bit less prevalent with indie games starting to take over, while shitty live service AAA games like Suicide Squad tend to fail, which is a good trend. Let's keep that going until AAA games increase their quality and come out with better shit to play. And then we have story. Does the plot make sense? Do the characters have good reasons to do what they are doing? And is the plot interesting and unique? Or are we just rehashing the same shit from the last game, like Modern Warfare 3? Are the characters complex, interesting, applied to the plot intelligently and intentionally? Are the good guys likable, bad guys dislikable? Or are there arguably no good guys or bad guys in the story, like Attack on Titan and Code Geass, or hell, Halo Infinite? It's easy to dislike a guy like Shang Tsung because you see the psychotic activities that he participates in, and he's got a whole bunch of people bleed, a whole bunch of experiments in the flesh pits. The guy kidnapped Reptile's family and held him at ransom, and then killed him early off, lied to him and whatnot. He's bullying Tarkatans and whatnot, you know. Not Titan Shang Tsung, but regular Shang Tsung from this timeline has a bit of complexity because he didn't have a good upbringing. So arguably in this timeline, that's the reason why he's a piece of shit. But a guy like Makarov in Modern Warfare 3, all it does is kill people and there's no nuance to it. I can't like any of the good guys like Captain Price or Soap or Ghost because there's nothing there to like. But again, in a game like Mortal Kombat 1, there are reasons for me to like guys like Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and the almighty Baraka. Callbacks and references. Halo Infinite had this in spades. Like there was so many callbacks to the old games, and I'm kind of a sucker for that. And then Chekhov's gun. If something happens, how is it gonna affect the story later on? A good example of this was Mortal Kombat 1 and the Tarkat disease. We saw the effects early on with Melina getting sick and whatnot. Apparently Shang Tsung is trying to cure her and whatnot, and the hero stop her. The hero stopped him from curing Melina. Shang Tsung was easily able to frame the good guys because of that. The gas with Captain Price in Modern Warfare 3, pointless. The Flood being the most dangerous faction in Halo and being a threat that needs to be taken down. We see that in Halo 3 with the final betrayal. We see that play out. All they do in Halo Infinite is that they simply tell us that the Endless is supposed to be big and threatening, and we never really get a payoff to that. I think there was supposed to be DLC and it got shut down and whatnot, but that's a whole different story. The first scene in Halo 5 has nothing to do with the rest of the game, and that's shitty. Doom 2016 story can be forgiven for being as simple as it is because it was the first game and it was mainly focused on gameplay. But the fact that y'all actually tried something with Doom Eternal and it was flat, I don't know. It was just simple as hell. It wasn't complete ass. It's not necessarily lost because of how good Doom Eternal's gameplay was, but it's still not a dub in my book because all the characters are flat, you know? Like, if I go in, I'm not big on Elden Ring's lore, but I'm pretty sure that Elden Ring's lore is probably going to be better than Doom Eternal's lore. Because once I got into that, it was still like, what the fuck is going on? I had to watch like a 3-hour long video just to figure out why the makers portrayed the Voth, and that's just, I had to put in that much work to figure out why. The actual story in the game was just basic. There's nothing there. And then Remnant 2 is even worse because okay, I say with Doom Eternal there's nothing there. There's a little bit there, you know, just a little bit, but Remnant 2 there's like nothing to relate to, like, period. If Doom Eternal's story is basic, Remnant 2's story is non-existent. And I would still rather have those type of stories than a piece of shit like Modern Warfare 3. That is fucking, oh my god, bro. Like, Modern Warfare 3, Halo 5, and Halo 5, I'd still put that above Modern Warfare 3. But them two stories, absolute ass. Garbaggio. Made the characters look stupid as fuck. And then there's obviously the impact that a game has. It was popping when it came out, and it's definitely a quality game, but impact-wise, Doom Eternal might not be as big as a game like Elden Ring, Halo 3, or even the original Doom. These games are games that revolutionize gaming in general, not just in their genres, but gaming in general. Elden Ring swept the internet. I was basically meat riding Elden Ring before I even played it. I played it back in 2022 for just a little bit, but the majority of my hours, like 60, I played like 60 hours just this year. Elden Ring is that damn good. It had the impact that it did on gaming and around the internet that it did for a reason. You had developers bitching about the UI and trying to hate on the game just because they was jealous how good it was. Yeah, Matan Evan walking on stage and making a whole career out of a meme. And then you had guys trying to follow him and copy it as a fail. You had a bunch of shitty takes like Acer Thorne's video where he fought the first NPC and then bitched about the game, turned it off, and didn't even fit. What the fuck was that? A man ruined his life and almost destroyed YouTube over Elden Ring. And then he blamed the game for what happened. No, You did that. Okay. I ain't gonna go too far into that, but like, bro, this man made so much of a shit show out of Elden Ring that he wound up getting other people like Review Tech USA to try the game, and Review Tech USA wasn't even a Souls fan before this. He didn't give a fuck about Elden Ring. I already talked about the impact of the first 3 Halo games. Games like BioShock and its story. I watched a review on I watched some reviews on BioShock, but I don't even remember the story, which is a good thing. I'm in for a ride. I've heard about its reputation. Games like God of War and its great story. Games like Fortnite and the impact that it's had, whether good or bad, for the better or the worse. Fortnite is gonna go down as one of the greatest games of all time. And the same thing can be said for Minecraft, GTA 5, Red Dead 2 for stories. The last thing I want to mention as far as my judgment of games is the overall package and the case-by-case basis of things. How does a game come out as a whole? And what does it do uniquely? Not just in a vacuum, but for itself. The things that it does for itself and for what the game is, how does that affect the vacuum? You might think that length is like an objectively good thing for games. But then you play games that aren't that long, but that are good. Like Pac-Man World Repack, or hell, even Doom Eternal. Like, comparing a game like Doom Eternal to Elden Ring, of course they're totally different genres of games, but a game like Elden Ring might be objectively better in one's eyes compared to a game like Doom Eternal because of the amount of content that it has and how good said content is. But I can't necessarily say that Elden Ring is better than a game like Doom Eternal, because although I've basically matched my time now, and I'm probably going to get hella more time in Elden Ring than Doom Eternal, Doom Eternal's gameplay loop is so addicting that I would want to go back and play Elden Ring, but I think I prefer Doom Eternal's gameplay loop, not just because it's a first-person shooter, but because of how well it does its first-person shooter. It is a thinking man's game like no other first-person shooter before it. It is wonderful. I've never seen anything like this shit. And I still want to go back and play the horde mode just for competition, not even for story, just to get good at it. And it was fun. That's why Doom Eternal, as far as the games that I've played so far this year, is top tier. I haven't played too many I haven't finished too many single player adventures yet, but I know it's gonna be hard to top Doom Eternal. It's gonna be hard to just say this game is just better than Doom Eternal off of content and whatnot. No. Remnant 2, no, I'm sorry, it's not happening. Just because of that's why I was speaking about earlier, quality and quantity. Quality is more important to me, and even though that can be subjective, in this case it very much is. Doom Eternal is just top tier to me, and that's not even a knock towards a game like hell no, I'm not gonna knock a game like Elden Ring. Pac-Man World Repack was a short time, but it was a good time. Like Ride to Hell Retribution is a game that's gonna last longer, but it's a piece of shit. Modern Warfare 3 is a short time, but it's a piece of shit. It's ass. I got a feeling I'm gonna enjoy Sekiro's combat better than Elden Ring. I don't know that for sure, but like swords and martial arts, come on, man. And if it is, I'm gonna say it. That doesn't take anything away from Elden Ring. Elden Ring is probably still the greatest game of this generation from an objective standpoint. But to me, I'm not gonna say it's better than Doom Eternal. But what does a game do in its unique space to stand out and be fun overall? That has to be on a case-by-case basis, because otherwise it wouldn't be fair. Like, obviously there should be inspiration taken, but like if a game really does something well, I can't knock it because it's short. I can't knock it just because it doesn't play like another game. As long as it does something, and it does something very well, then it's a great game. And there you have it. That was very long-winded. This video took a lot longer than I wanted to take to record it, but that is my perspective on judging video games. Thank you all for hearing me out here. I'm very bad at doing unscripted videos, as you can see. Something I can work on. That's why I write scripts. And I stutter a lot doing those scripts as well. But if you have a conversation with me, I won't be stuttering that much. Like, that's bullshit. I don't know what a camera just does to me, but yeah, thank you all for listening to my TED Talk today. I'm trying to grind out Elden Ring so I can review that. That's my plan. I want that to be the next video. If it's not, it's probably gonna be BioShock. but I did want to just give you all a bit of perspective as to what my mindset is as far as gameplay. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Discord. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for coming today. This is P34J. I'm up out of here. Y'all have a good one.